long-standing and well-received process. There's a host, timekeeper, and a moderator for this candidates forum. The host tonight is Margie. Margie, want to raise your hand? There she is. Video for the audience is turned off by default. The only video that's enabled is for the candidates, the moderator, and the timer app. Oh, you, the audience, won't be seeing the timer app, but rest assured the candidates will. The Millbrae Community Television has set up the conferencing app so that you are automatically muted. This is to allow the candidates to speak without interruption. We urge everyone to submit their questions. You can do so by sending an email to 2020millbrae@mctv.tv. No campaign literature or other material, including campaign promoting background photos, is permitted within the meeting. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization of both men and women whose purpose is to promote active and informed participation in government. We appreciate the interest and efforts of groups like Millbrae Community Television in presenting events like this that increase voters' knowledge about the candidates and issues. The purpose of a candidates forum is to provide an opportunity for all the candidates to be heard at one time and to be questioned by you, the audience. We hope that by bringing the candidates and voters together face-to-face, virtually, voters will be better informed and will make wise decisions when they vote. We appreciate your interest and participation in coming out to learn more about the candidates. Tonight, we're going to hear from candidates for the Millbrae City Council. There are 5 candidates for 3 seats, and the term of office is 4 years. The candidates running at this time are Anders Fung, Gina Pappen, Ann Schneider, Yo-Yo Shui, and Errol Shornack. The rules of our forum are as follows. Each candidate will have 3 minutes for an opening statement. During the question period, each candidate will have 1 minute to answer. All candidates will have an equal time to speak to every question, even if the question is addressed just to a single candidate. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. Our timekeeper, we have an off-camera timekeeper clock, and Margie will be reminding the candidates of the approaching 1-minute deadline through very high-tech signs that you see in front of you. So no chips implanted in their wrists, just pages. The timer application is visible to the candidates, so they should be in a position to know when their time is up as well. Again, if you have any questions, send them to 2020millbrae@mctv.tv. All questions come to the moderator, and I will sort the questions by subject and will cover a variety of topics. We seldom have time for all questions, and I may need to rephrase or combine questions. But we have already received many questions over a wide variety of topics. I can tell it's an engaged community in Millbrae, and I'm looking forward to hearing from the candidates. So with no further ado, we'll start with our opening questions. The candidates have drawn lots to determine the order in which they'll speak. And as I've mentioned, each will have 3 minutes for an opening statement. Amazingly, when we drew lots, it ended up being alphabetical order. So with that, our first speaker will be Anders Fung.
Ready?
Ready.
In my year spent as a planning commissioner, a director at the Peninsula Chinese Business Association, a member of the Lions Club, and as a parent, I've known Millbrae to be a town brimming with good people. This is why I am running, because good people deserve good leadership. Let me tell you why. If you want a council member who will work hard, work smart, and not compromise on your priorities, I am your candidate. Some of you may not know me, but let me introduce myself. My name is Anders Fung, and I was born and raised in Hong Kong at a time of political and economic uncertainty. My father worked to do what he could, supporting our 7-member, 3-generation family as a taxi driver. It was because of him and my childhood growing up in the Hong Kong public housing project that I learned the values which inspired my life. Those values are to work hard, work smart, and to never compromise on things that are important. In my life, that means putting it all on the line and coming to this country as an 18-year-old, pursuing my college education. Just to pay tuition, I worked as a dishwasher, as a waiter, and as a pizza delivery boy. After graduating from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, I joined Cisco as an engineer. However, the lessons of my childhood still run true. Although I was happy, pursuing my American dream meant once again putting it all on the line and starting my own small business. And so did I at the age of 29. So those lessons from my childhood still hold true in this campaign. As a city council member, I plan on working hard, working smart, and never compromise on things that are so important for each and every one of us. Like many of us, I'm a parent raising 2 kids here in our city. Everything I do in my candidacy is filtered through this lens. And that's why when I talk about public safety, education, transparency, or any other issues that I see here in Millbrae, I speak because, just like you, I have a personal stake in these matters. And I know just as well as you do that Millbrae cannot compromise on what's important to all of us. What does not compromising look like? Well, it means developing our town without sacrificing what makes our community one that we can be proud of. It means understanding that smart development and urban planning can work hand in hand. And it means demanding that our elected officials are working hard, working smart, and not compromise on what's important to Millbrae. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Gina Pappen.
Thank you very much. My name is Gina Pappen, and I'm running for re-election to the Millbrae City Council to ensure a stronger, safer Millbrae, and to continue vital service to the community I grew up in and love in these unprecedented times. Now more than ever, we need tested leadership and a proven champion at City Hall to determine the success of Millbrae's recovery. My public service has always been about taking action, fighting for those I represent, and making our community healthy, safer, and stronger. My experience sets me apart in this race. Local government matters. Here and now, with few exceptions, the decisions made at the local level affect our day-to-day lives far more than what's going on in the twisted reality of our nation's capital. I am proud of my public service because I've made positive and impactful changes. As a state's attorney, I fought to ensure taxpayer dollars were appropriately used. As the deputy director of a state agency, I helped implement the Amber Alert program and supported programs against child abuse, elder abuse, domestic violence, facilitated crime prevention programs, and helped establish childcare in our courthouses. As your council member and a former mayor, I've been honored to work in the trenches on our most important issues: public safety and health, investing in our kids, and ensuring local businesses can survive and thrive. With COVID-19, there are even more significant issues and greater work to be done. I am seeking re-election to the Millbrae City Council to ensure our recovery. I will continue to advocate for families and children while ensuring neighborhood safety and preparedness in any emergencies. I am committed to bringing Millbrae together to build a safer, stronger Millbrae. I am seeking your support for my re-election to continue to draw on this experience and the ability to take action, which will keep Millbrae moving forward. My commitment to public service is forged by my family. A guiding principle, a quote from RBG: fight for the things you care about and do it in a way that will lead others to join you. I am a proud granddaughter of immigrants who came to this country with nothing, instilled in us the values of hard work, community, and to never give up no matter what the tragedies or challenges. Those values are my approach to public service. In my family, my brother had special needs. He died tragically of an illness at a very young age. My parents took that grief and turned it into action for others in our community. They established 2 nonprofits to help children in need, with the focus on vulnerable populations struggling to survive in our region. Today, my sister and I continue those efforts, and we are committed to those programs. No matter what the tragedies and presents hold here, we meet together. I'm committed to doing the work, and I hope you'll join.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Next, we'll hear from Ann Schneider.
Good evening. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and Millbrae Community Television for hosting and moderating tonight's candidate forum. We are living in uncharted times, living in isolation or in small social bubbles. As your Vice Mayor, I want to thank all of our residents, businesses, and our community volunteers for how fantastic you have been during this difficult time. I'm so proud of you. You give me the energy to keep working for you and keep Millbrae moving forward. As you know, my first couple of years were difficult. I was subjected to a great deal of bullying, constant microaggressions, and humiliation. But the last year and a half has been better, and I thank our city manager for that. Council is working, but this change came because of you. You demanded change. Thank you. I am both our accomplishments as a council and for projects I led to improve the life of the people of Millbrae. As a council, we have approved retail, hotel, Class A office space, and housing that is affordable and includes veterans. Mix of uses is critical for Millbrae's long-term economic health and is one way to reduce our water and sewer rates by having more customers divide fixed costs. As a council, we are working to get regional transportation agencies to treat Millbrae with respect, to solve the homeless problem their actions are creating, and to clean up, frankly, the excrement garbage at Millbrae Station. For too long, these agencies have disregarded their impact or the impacts of their growth on the people of Millbrae. Fixing this dynamic is critical for our health and our economic survival. I am proud that I was able to re-energize our Cultural Arts Committee, bringing back creating the utility mural program, and soon the Millbrae Art Walk. I've worked to transition the Community Enhancement Committee to be our nexus for environmental action, from building the community garden, developing a tree ordinance, an urban forest plan, and finally getting council to adopt a climate action plan. I worked with the sheriff to hold 2 bike safety rodeos and helmet giveaways, and we held our first disaster preparedness day last November. I continue to push for neighborhood safety, fire prevention, reducing the risk of flooding in the lowlands, and reducing the noise impacts that keep us awake at night. I can't take credit alone. These projects happen because staff, our community volunteers, and you, the public, joined me in making good things happen. I think my greatest success in these 5 years has been empowering all of you to take part in Millbrae's governance. Yet there is much to be done in making Millbrae more transparent and inclusive. I have a 5-year record of being accessible by phone, email, next door, and at-person meetings. I can't knock door to door right now because I care for my 93-year-old mom, Jackie, and her health is my first priority. But I'm here. Reach out to me. I want to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you very much.
Good.
We'll next hear from Yo-Yo Shui.
Thank you, Linda. Hi, everyone. My name is Yo-Yo. Most of you probably remember me from 2 years ago when I ran for city council as a first-time candidate. At the time, I spent months knocking on every single door in the city, listening to thousands of my neighbors, and I was able to learn so much from all of you about your ideas for how we can improve our community. Thank you to everyone who believed in my message and voted for me. I'm running again this year because I think there is still so much to be done. Residents tell me all the time, they just want someone who is who's going to go to City Hall and get things done. Someone who is going to bring new energy and a fresh perspective. I have so many ideas about how we can improve our city, but let me just briefly share my top 3 priorities. First, I think our downtown needs our help. If we want to help small businesses and to protect our local economy, then let's give merchants what they've been asking for. They've been asking for long-term stability and vision. Let's finally form that business improvement district so that we can pay for things like parking enforcement, wider sidewalks, and family-friendly outdoor events. Other candidates throughout the years have promised so much for our downtown, but haven't delivered. And I would know, I am the only candidate running in this race, actually the only candidate running in a generation that actually owns a downtown Millbrae business. I know where we've failed, and I know exactly how we can turn this around to build a stronger, more diverse, and more robust business district. Second, our water bills are out of control. Residents shouldn't accept $600 water bills, $800 water bills as the new normal. I've laid out a 3-step plan to lower bills and take action now. We should be adopting smart meters, changing the way we calculate our bills, and working hard to reduce operating costs. Third, we have to improve our safety. For me, safety isn't just about putting more cops on the ground. Safety means logically responding to threats using cost-effective technology like license plate readers to stop out-of-town thieves breaking into our homes and cars. I want to make sure we're supporting law enforcement by getting them the enhanced crisis intervention training they'll need to deal with complicated situations out on the streets, including psychiatric emergencies. I'm going to be a champion for more funding for mental health services throughout our community, including in our schools and for the homeless. I'm going to make our streets safer for everyone, including pedestrians and bicyclists. I can't promise that tonight's forum is going to be as exciting or have as much entertainment value as the presidential debates, but I do hope that the conversation we're about to have is productive, constructive, and will help you, the Millbrae voter, get to know the candidates just a little bit better. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yo-Yo. And lastly, we'll hear from Errol Schnornak.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, residents of Millbrae, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for this forum. You know, one of the disadvantages, I don't know if it's an advantage or a disadvantage to be the last among 5 candidates speaking. I've heard your speeches, and let me say there are 4 difficult acts to follow, but I'll just try my best. Okay. My name is Errol Schnornak, first generation immigrant. I moved here to California with my wife and 4 kids. We've lived in Millbrae for almost 14 years now, and we went through the struggles which every immigrant family goes through. I was an attorney in the Philippines, but my law degree is not enough to land me a decent job here, even as a paralegal. They were very strict with some, they wanted experience. So I had to work my way doing odd jobs, working just to put food on the table. Eventually, I got my law degree. I finished my master's at Golden Gate University. And in fact, I wasn't done yet with my master's course. Against my advisor's will, I sat for the California bar and I passed it. And my advisor said, well, Errol, now that you've passed the bar, you don't need me anymore. You can take any course you want. So eventually I got my master's degree. Next hurdle I had to encounter was getting a job, and no one would hire me, even though I was already an attorney. So you know what I did? I set up my own office and I hired myself. And that's what I've been doing. I've been into civil litigation. I do landlord tenant. I've handled criminal defense. I do bankruptcy, estate planning, and family law. After serving my family, of our 4 kids, our 3 youngest ones went through Millbrae schools, Spring Valley, Taylor, Mills High School. In fact, one of my sons and one of the candidates were classmates. I won't mention who that candidate is. Okay, there, he raised his hand. But it just, I never thought we'd be running for the same position in this exciting election. Anyway, my program is basically, I want transparency. I, like many of you, I've been a resident of Millbrae. This will be my first time to run for public office in the city of Millbrae. And I want answers to many questions. Going to the Millbrae website, it provides information, but it's just not enough. So I want there to be more transparency. If more information was shared from the city, from the council, to the residents of Millbrae, then maybe more questions will be answered. Millbrae will be at peace. And when Millbrae is at peace, you have a happier community. I want more involvement in our community. I want more people to run for the city council. When there's more involvement, then we need more informed people means more involvement from the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Errol. Thank you very much. All right, now we're going to move into our question period. We're going to ask, if you have not written your questions, please do so now. I'll give you that email again. It's 2020millbrae@mctv.tv. Each candidate has 1 minute to answer the question. I'm going to vary the order in which the candidates are called on to speak. If a question is addressed to a specific candidate, that candidate will be asked first. All the other candidates will have a chance to respond. All right, so I'm going to open up with our first question, and Anders is going to be the first in order to take that one. So we will start with you, Anders. And the question, our first question, what will you do to ensure the city gets the most revenue out of upcoming proposals for city-owned parcels near the station? Let me say that, I'll repeat the question each time. What will you do to ensure the city gets the most revenue out of upcoming proposals for city-owned parcels near the station?
Thank you for the question, Linda. So I think, the question lies into development. And it also has to do with how we as a city has to have a plan and make sure that the development that is being proposed has the highest and best use for that property. And I believe the clock is not running, by the way, Marky. So just so you know, okay, here we go, thank you. So just making sure that these development that comes into town, make sure they have a plan. The plan that has to be presented must have a good financial impact to our city. Millbrae, it really is unique in that all these city-owned properties, especially near the transit area, are so prime for development. And this is basically a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But we have in Millbrae, it's sitting in intermodal station, the best and some of the most well-developed intermodal station west of Mississippi. So taking advantage of that is extremely important, and making sure that the development is balanced, is responsible, and yet affordable. And then at the same time, when I say balance, it means the balance between the commercial and the residential component. It has to be a well-balanced project, and it has to generate the maximal tax revenue possible.
Thank you, Anders. Gina Pappin will take the question next.
Thank you very much. Our Millbrae Station area is the most significant part of our economic recovery from this point on. The council unanimously approved a development on the west side of the station, and high-speed rail is threatening that very project right now. We are united in our fight against high-speed rail disrupting that development, among others. Millbrae is prime for recovery here. The land that has yet to be approved for development, people are lining up for. We have a golden opportunity here. Our development needs to be balanced, though, so that we can make sure the economic recovery happens. It can't just be settling for this development or that development. We need to make sure that comes with it fees and resources so that we can pay for our public services and our infrastructure. And we need to streamline the process so that that can happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Our next candidate is Anne.
Hi, thank you. All right, talking about city-owned parcels. We have two types of land that the city owns. Some of it is commercial, zoned commercial, some is zoned residential. Now, to come up with funding to rebuild the rec center, the city has and council has supported the sale of 2 residential parcels. That's the highest and best use for those. They're not big enough for us to do anything with. Right place to put in high density housing. So those 2 pieces are being sold with the revenue going to the rec center. But we have at least 7 commercial properties. I believe that the highest and best use is by doing a lease and revenue sharing agreement with whomever might develop that project, or to do a group development project on that. There's been a lot of talk of, should we sell our land that's around the Bart station, or should we hang on to it, or should we swap it for other land? I believe we hold on to land. Land is too valuable in Millbrae. So in terms of city-owned property, make a great deal with the developer and revenue sharing.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you. And Yo-Yo, could you
Minute goes fast.
Thank you, Linda. Yeah, the minute does go fast, doesn't it? So the question was, how will we generate the most revenue for the parcels near the station? And of course, everyone driving over the bridge can now see that TOD 2, which is the what used to be the Bart surface parking lot, is now under construction. And we're soon going to see a retail development there with housing, office space, as well as a hotel. And this is beneficial to the city. We have to continue to stay vigilant. We need to make sure that city council members are on top of issues like controlling traffic. For example, how are we going to get those 2 right turn lanes in from Millbrae Avenue to El Camino, keep traffic flowing, make sure that we can properly handle the possible negative impacts of housing. And I would concur with previous speakers who said that we need to continue to pursue commercial at the same time we pursue housing. Housing is important because we need to meet required state, regional housing needs for our city and our region. But at the same time, we need to make sure that projects generate the appropriate amount of sales tax revenue, businesses, for our local economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And last up, Errol, could you take the question? I'm muted. You're muted, Errol.
Before starting the clock, can I have the question read again? I mean, I'm the 5th person since the question was read the first time.
What will you do to ensure the city gets the most revenue out of upcoming proposals for city-owned parcels near the station?
Okay. We can maximize incentives for business development, because when there is business and there are presumably going to be sales transactions, a portion of those, there will be a sales tax charged, and a portion of that goes to the city for the income of the city. So if we can maximize business development. However, in relation to the matter of parcels, I think overall we have to look at what is the general development plan for the city of Millbrae. I've actually tried looking at the city's website, and it redirects me. It's hard to navigate that part. It redirects me only to find out that there actually isn't a current development plan. And I was just wondering why. In other cities, I tried looking at the city of Gilroy, city of Morgan Hill. It's just one click and you can see the development plan. I think this is something every city is required to come up with. So I hope that's something the council can do in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Errol. All right, we'll move on to our next question. And the first person is Gina in terms of taking the question. Nearly all city council candidates have signed the Code of Fair Campaign Practices. For the candidates who have signed this document, what does the Code of Fair Campaign Practices mean to you? And can you affirm to the viewing public that you have completely adhered to the code and have addressed complaints of non-compliance? For the candidates who did not sign, can you share your views of fair campaign practices and if your campaign adheres to a code of conduct? Let me repeat, it was a little bit of a long question. Nearly all city council candidates have signed the Code of Fair Campaign Practices. For the candidates who have signed this document, what does the Code of Fair Campaign Practices mean to you? And can you affirm to the viewing public that you have completely adhered to the code and have addressed complaints? For the candidates who did not sign, can you share your views of fair campaign practices and if your campaign adheres to a code of conduct? Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I have absolutely signed the Code of Conduct and Ethics in this campaign with no hesitation whatsoever. I am a Deputy Attorney General by day, so I have an ethical standard along with my professional career as well. The Code of Conduct in any politics, I mean, it's just being your true self and abiding by civility between the candidates. Really keeping things moving, talking about the issues, not doing personal attacks on any particular candidate. This is what it means to me. The people of this city want to hear about the issues. They want to know you as a candidate, and they want to know how important the issues are and what you're going to do about them. So to me, that pledge is extremely important, and it ensures that some of us who have signed it are going to abide by that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yo-Yo, could you take the question next?
Yes, of course. Thank you. So part of the Code of Fair Campaign Practices that you referenced, does include references to not only campaigning in a fair way, but also when you witness campaigning in an unfair way or an unethical way, that you actually speak out to stop it. So essentially being anti-unethical, if you will. some people who signed it haven't done this. And this also applies for 2018 when I ran. In 2018, there were a lot of anonymous communications sent out attacking me, worst of all, attacking my family, making claims like I beat up my dad and he had a restraining order against me, or I was running an underground gambling ring, and all sorts of crazy things. And I asked people, when you talk about having small town politics, doesn't that mean a friendlier politics? Doesn't that mean not spreading rumors about me like I'm trying to start a race war? Doesn't that mean not spreading false rumors like Ann Schneider wants to build a homeless shelter at OSH? Let's stop with all the misinformation, all the fear mongering, and focus on the facts. Everyone should focus on the truth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, the next person for this question will be Errol.
Yeah, regarding the code, first, I apologize. I haven't signed it, but I'd like to thank Vice Mayor Ann Schneider. She mentioned it on Nextdoor. And when I read it, I virtually signed it on Nextdoor. I affirmed that I agree with that code. And to summarize, what does it mean? I can summarize that code in 4 words. Be fair, be nice. Or it's akin to the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Now, regarding my campaign practices, I believe I have not broken any rule, but to be honest, people have complained. They've said my signs are too small. And I just said, well, I believe the voters of Millbrae are smart enough to know that this is not about size or whose signs are bigger. This is about the quality of the candidates. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ann, could I ask you to take the question next?
That was me, Anne. Hi, thank you. I have signed the Code of Ethics, and as someone who just a month ago did hear that WeChat is telling the public that I want to turn Orchard Hardware Supply into a homeless shelter, please, that is not true. I think I agree with what Councilwoman Pappen said, and Errol and Yo-Yo. I think we're a small town and it behooves us all to be nicer to each other. But that code also means that we have to look at what our representatives are doing. I think what they're called surrogates when you're in a bigger world. So we need to make sure that they are not doing things that are indirectly actually hurting our own campaigns. So I have been vocal on Nextdoor of telling anybody who supports me to not turn anybody in on Nextdoor. A weekend ago or a weekend and a half ago, there was sort of carte blanche, people getting kicked off Nextdoor. I do not support that. We as politicians or candidates will hear things we don't like. We have to listen and we have to work with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ann. Well, let's move to our next question.
You didn't ask Anders.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Thank you so much. See, you signed the code. All right, Anders, please finish for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. Yes, I did sign the Code of Fair Campaign Practices, and I'm very glad that we have this document because from my perspective, that pledge boils down to one word, and one word that is very important. It's just about not only about being in an election, but as well as being a public official. It's virtue, the word virtue. Holding yourself to that high standard, no matter what you say and what you do, always sticks to the facts. Don't smear, but stay to the fact. Speak the truth, because people want to hear the truth. People want to make sure that whoever they elect, whoever is representing them, is someone who can speak the truth and be a representative of them. And I think that is the most important thing. No matter whether you're on social media, going door to door, emailing your constituents, speak the truth and always be truthful and always speak by yourself and always be yourself so that you can always be able to represent the people that you seek to represent. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And my apologies again. We'll go to the next question, and Ann, you'll be the first person up. I know I'd like to give a little warning. What will you do to address the safety concerns which Bart brings to our community?
Okay, Bart brings a number of safety concerns. The most immediate is the growing homeless population that are put off the train when BART stops running. And it started hitting us earlier in COVID because the train stopped earlier in the day. I think that BART and Caltrain and SFO need to take responsibility and come up with a program to get these people back to where they want to be. I know this sounds, I don't quite know how to say this, but even when you are homeless, you have a home base. You have a place amongst friends and a place that you feel safe. And when they are riding the train or BART and it becomes nightfall and they're far away from home, they want to get back home. And I think that BART needs to have a plan to get them back home. I am thankful that our sheriff's department works with our homeless population. And just recent fact, Life Moves has done a recent study of our homeless population and interviewed them, and they want to go back home. So BART, Caltrain, step up, get a bus at the end of night and bring these people home. Thank you.
Errol, can I ask you to take this next?
Yes, I hate to be accused of copying what Ann Schneider said, but I agree with her. The problem of homelessness is caused primarily because we're the end of a BART stop, and when it's time to get people out, this was what one of the City Hall officials said. The term is like the BART employees. They literally sweep out these people and just tell them to get off. And where would that be? That would be in Millbrae. But okay, they're homeless, but home is where the heart is. And these people consider, their heart is in San Francisco. They left their heart in San Francisco. They just want to go back to San Francisco. And I also heard that people at BART have not been responding well to pleas from the city to devise a plan where they are dropped off in San Francisco rather than at other stations. Thank you.
Thank you. Anders, could you take this next?
All right, so the minute goes by fast, but I think here's the thing. We've got to be able to have a constructive dialogue with BART, which we haven't really had for a long time. They've got to take responsibility, make sure that people don't jump the fare gate. We cannot allow people to use BART as a day shelter, right? And then at the end of the BART line, people don't have anywhere else to go, and then they start wandering around El Camino Real. That is not okay. That is irresponsible. So having that dialogue with BART to continue to ensure that they don't first of all, let people jump the fare gate. Second, don't let people use it as a day shelter. That's unacceptable, and that is inhumane. There are a lot of services available to the transient populations, whether it's at the county level, at the state level, or even at some of the local charitable organizations that they have mental health services for them. They have rehabilitation services available for some of the people who are on substance abuse. Make sure they use the services that is going to be able to help them and help them re-enter society in a positive way. That's what we need to do.
Thank you. Yo-Yo, please take the question.
Yes, thank you. I think that we have to keep in mind that transient individuals, homeless people, they are people, and we have to deal with this issue in a firm but also compassionate way. We've tried dialogue with BART, and I give credit to our council member, Gina Pappen, for doing that. She stood right there in front of the BART general manager, said, you need to stop abusing Millbrae. You need to, take control of your system, let people stop peeing in the elevators and defecating around the station, and stop putting drug needles all around our communities to protect our kids. But that's not enough. Perhaps we need to start suing the city of San Francisco. Tell them, hey, give us some of your Prop C money. San Francisco in 2018, they passed a $500 million tax on their corporations to deal with homelessness. Perhaps we should get a few of those dollars because we're the ones who have to clean up after San Francisco's failure of leadership. So if I'm elected, I'm going to tighten the screws on San Francisco. I'm going to really make sure that they hear Millbrae's voice, that we've had enough of this.
Thank you. Thank you. And Gina, you'll be last.
Thank you very much. Yes, BART has created a public health crisis and a public safety crisis for us. I'm thankful that I'm a representative on the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, and I'm holding them accountable. When conditional money or discretionary money came up, $34 million, I voted no, don't give it to BART. I have been on their case ever since. I've gotten new signage at the station And because of COVID, they're being forced to clean it up when they should have been doing that all along. I asked that we put a substation, a police substation there. And I also came up with the idea too, that we need to partner with our businesses because people, violent criminals are coming into our city through Bart. And just last week, as clerk at Safeway, they were robbing and got punched. That's a felony. We will not stand for that. I think we could collaborate with our businesses and sue Bart because they're not enforcing their fares, and that needs to happen now.
Thank you, Gina. All right, we'll move on to the next question, and the first person to take it will be Yo-Yo. The question: what should Millbrae be doing to ensure affordable and nearby housing for public employees, that is to say, teachers? What should Millbrae be doing to ensure affordable and nearby housing for public employees, that is to say, teachers?
What should Millbrae do about housing for teachers? Well, we should build it. You know, the school district has been asking to build housing right behind the, I think it's the 300 Murchison apartments. We got to build it there. And if we want to keep, you know, we keep talking about maintaining the strength of our schools, right? Because our schools are, you know, the gem of our community. A lot of our property values depend on schools, and people come to Millbrae because of schools like Mills and Taylor. I believe that we should pursue teacher housing there. You know, our teachers are valued, and we can show them their value by telling them, hey, when you're coming to service our community, you should be able to live in our community. You shouldn't have to. I hear from teachers who say they commute from over an hour away every day just to teach our community. I think that it's a matter of social justice, and we can deliver it to teachers by building quality, affordable housing right next to Mills High School. This will benefit so many people in our community, especially our value teachers.
Thank you. Errol, would you take the answer the question next?
Millbrae schools are very highly rated in the school system. We have very good teachers. My children were the products of Millbrae schools, and I can only vouch that I believe they got the best education they could get, considering we're immigrants and we were lucky to choose to live in Millbrae. But to keep the quality of our schools, we have to keep our teachers. The city should devise a plan to provide subsidized housing. Now, when you talk about when you hear that word subsidy, you think of money. And the question is, does the city have enough resources? It probably has, but now it's a matter of prioritizing. Do we devote it to this, to the problem of homelessness, to mental health rehabilitation, or to subsidize schools? And to generate funds, we might have to go through certain measures again, like what? The parcel tax. And we know how that will be hated by some residents of Millbrae. So this is something that can be studied further. Thank you.
All right, Anders, next.
All right, thank you. So I'm glad we talked about this because, you know, the important thing is this. There are a lot of people who discuss housing. I build it. As a home builder, and as someone who actually owns a business, not only to build, but as well as to design. I advocate for affordability by design. And also, as serving as a planning commissioner, I've been advocating for having affordable housing that are geared towards civic employees. See, the thing is this, you know, public housing is important, but at the same time, nothing builds faster than working with the private sector to come up with affordable housing that is geared towards our public employees. You know, they have the dollars and cents, and then they have the plan of action that they can do it faster than the public sector can do. We also need affordable housing ordinance that will be able to prioritize our public employees. Those are some of the solutions that I think we can put together and put it together quickly.
Thank you very much. All right, next would be Gina.
Thank you very much. A very important issue, and we do cherish our teachers within this community. Our schools are the pride of the community. Affordable housing for everyone. We have had the city council, we don't own the land anymore. We don't have land to develop, but we have included affordable housing elements in our projects, and we need to make sure that our teachers have access to that. Developing on the school district property, they need to do that system-wide if they're going to do it. They've only talked about Millbrae here, but we need to really expand that horizon. The community college district did it, and they did it in an amazing way, but they have that land. We have to ensure that any developments that happen within Millbrae also help Millbrae. So if you're building, you need to make sure that you're not going to negatively impact the city. So it's very important, and we need to pursue housing wherever we can, but carefully.
Thank you very much. Anne, you'll be our last.
Thank you. I strongly support and have voted for affordable housing at great personal cost. So I would encourage all of you to look at who actually voted for the affordable housing projects we have approved in Millbrae. That said, you must know that Mills High School, or the high school district, is looking at Mills High School to create teachers housing. And we need to make sure that they work with us and that they, like other developers, also provide for the recreation services on that. But in general, with an open mind, I'm open for building teachers housing and staff housing in and around Millbrae. Our El Camino Real is very low density. We have great opportunity along El Camino Real to build more housing, to build mixed use, to create inclusionary housing. We also don't have a program for housing preservation, taking lower income existing apartments and protecting them from being sold and converted to market rate housing. We need a housing preservation program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, on to our next question. And Errol, you're going to be up first on this one. Given the lack of civility, tolerance, and respect shown nowadays by all levels of political spectrum, are you able to work collaboratively and congenially with others, particularly those you do not agree with? Please share examples from your past.
Thank you. Great question. You know, whenever people say that's a good question or that's a great question, it's because we don't know the answer. Well, my experience, okay? First time candidate, what can I really talk about what I've done? I've been an attorney, and attorneys are adversarial. That's the nature of our job. A client comes to us, he has a cause, and it's almost diametrically opposed with our opponent. But not all our cases go to trial, and we always go through mediation. And I believe I'm an effective communicator when it comes to that, communicating to my client why it's more practical to accept this. He wants something here, but I'll say, no, just settle for this. And the other thing is convincing the other side. And I believe I have a good batting average. And I always believe in that saying, let's agree to disagree. I respect your views. I may disagree with you, but to my death, I will defend your right to say it. That's how I am as a person. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Gina, could you take this up next?
Yes, collaboration, I think it's very, and trust is reflected in the endorsements I have in this election. It's really developing relationships. We're not always going to agree, but we need to have those relationships at the state level, at the county level, and with the cities that surround us. There are so many different issues that arise that we need to work together on, and it has to happen even when we disagree. So if you disagree, I disagreed with the Bart development there, but for specific reasons, and I'm still working to solve the problems that I found with that development, to keep things going, to help Millbrae, because Millbrae is the #1, these are the people we represent. And this is where we have to be strong in our representation. So I'm very proud of the collaborations I've made and the trust I've gained through my representation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anne, let's hear from you next.
Obviously, collaboration is a good thing. Although I'm also okay, we're not all going to agree. All 5 of us who serve on council are supposed to bring unique ideas and backgrounds, and that's part of a healthy democracy. I agree with Councilwoman Pappen that working regionally is important. I am proud that myself, with a council member from Burlingame and Hillsborough, we've gotten a ground-based noise committee where we can work with the airport to try to come up with some solutions that affect all of our communities. Now, at the city level, Let's talk about water as an example. I think sometimes when we're running for office, we work on trying to how we can one up somebody else. But when we look at how expensive our water is in Millbrae, we have to open up every idea, even ideas that have been tossed out in the past, and say, water meters or tiered rates or a low-income rate for people on the PG&E care program. We have to be able to throw all ideas and respect those ideas and not slam each other.
Thank you very much, Anne. Next, Anders. You're on mute, Anders.
Here we go. Sorry about that. All right. So I think being a public official, being a representative to the people, we're always going to run into a situation where we don't always agree to things, but that's not the essence of the question. The question here is when you get this uncivil situation, it's like we have to be able to articulate our voices and our ideas and our wishes and our ideologies in a way that is respectful to others, right? So that's why serving as a planning commissioner for the last 3 years, I was fortunate enough to be able to work across the aisle, across up and down the peninsula with different officials, and it shows based on the long list of endorsement that I have already received, that I am able to work as a regional partner to not only within my jurisdiction, but up and down the entire peninsula chain of different elected officials across the board. So that, I think, is demonstrate the ability to be able to work with people with or without agreement at the same time. So thank you.
Thank you. And Yo-Yo, could you wrap this up for us?
Okay, thank you. I remember like more than half a decade ago when I was still in high school, Gina Pappin and I were sitting at a table at a pancake breakfast. And she told me, she's like, yo, you have no idea what you're talking about. You need to do more homework. And Gina and I have not seen eye to eye too much since then, but I'm still willing to work with her because we have so many issues in this city we need to get done. All of us are talking about almost the same thing. Let's focus on that, right? Let's focus on the fact that we have way more in common than we have that divides us, right? We all want a better Millbrae, but we don't know how we're going to achieve that, right? We all want to solve the Bart problem. We want to get the water bills lowered. We want to improve our downtown. We want to make our community healthier for the future. I will work with anyone. All of us here are Democrats. All 5 candidates are Democrats, but I have Republican supporters. I have independent supporters. I will work with anybody in the community if it means we're going to solve the longstanding issues that Millbrae desperately needs to get fixed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to our next question. And Anders, you'll be up first. Stand by, it's a long one. Nearly a third of the Millbrae budget is made up of sales and use tax and the transportation occupancy tax. Mm-hmm. If you are elected, what is your specific plan to cope with possible budgetary shortfalls from these diminished revenue streams? How do you specifically intend to stimulate and rebuild the Millbrae economy in the COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 era? Let me do that one more time.
Yeah.
Nearly a third of the Millbrae budget is made up from sales and use tax and the transient occupancy tax, TOT. Is
yes.
It transient?
Hotel
If you're elected, what is your specific plan to cope with possible budgetary shortfalls from these diminished revenue streams? How do you specifically intend to stimulate and rebuild the Millbrae economy in the COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 era? Thank you.
This is a grossly unfair 1 minute because it is impossible to talk about all of that in 1 minute, but I'll try to address as much as we can here. So obviously, we are going to have a budget shortfall because of the pandemic. Now, keep in mind, we need to be extremely mindful about that. We can, from a budget shortfall perspective, we can delay some of the capital project. That's something that we automatically can do. Number 2, we need to think about how to revitalize our downtown. Put a downtown improvement plan in place immediately. Working with the restaurant, working with the local merchants to reopen safely and responsibly. It's a way for us to keep our economy going. Keep that employee, keep that dining table occupied, keep our restaurants open, keep our local business open. Now, long-term solution, we've got to revitalize our downtown, and by putting in a new downtown specific plan so that we can reimagine, give it a little bit more density on the commercial, a little bit more density on the residential, and bring new businesses into Millbrae so that they can increase our tax bases and increase our economy and revitalize it.
Thank you. Gina, could you take this next?
Yeah, twofold versus sustaining our local businesses right now. So we've been doing that. We've been trying to pivot, making sure that the restaurants can have outlets. You'll see them. They're a wonderful addition. Streamlining the permit process. Millbrae was like the first to get that going here. Making sure people are safe. So protective gear, keeping it moving in that direction. But Millbrae, again, is posed to be on the cusp of right now moving ahead for recovery here. We are so lucky. There's a new hotel that wants to open up just the other side there. When the hotels come back, that'll be a big source for us. In addition, a new electric car company has put in a permit to compete with Tesla, and it's in Millbrae. These are great opportunities. We need to also pursue the Orchard Supply location, to keep trying to get Target in there, and future developments. We need to make sure that we're working closely with the developers so Millbrae's protected and we can ensure our future and the costs that are associated with that. It's hopeful.
Thank you. Thank you. Anne, could you talk to this next?
Okay, build. To me, the way out of a recession is to build. I am concerned that we delay our capital improvement programs because that's how Millbrae got to where we are currently with our roads and our maintenance. So I will work to find additional funding sources so we move forward with our infrastructure. We have El Camino, we have unique and incredible opportunity on El Camino, but there's a balance there between the perfect project. Could the Gateway project have been better? Yes. Can any project always be better? Yes. Versus a good project that we can break ground now and start generating the revenue that will come from that property once it moves into a new tax basis, once it has new retail, once it has new housing, and those people then are shopping in town. So we're going to have to balance the good with the perfect, and we're going to have to streamline permitting and then an ordinance to require empty storefronts to fill those storefronts. No more 10 years of leaving vacant properties.
Thank you. Thank you. Yo-Yo, you're up next.
Thank you, Linda. So like the other candidates said, there's what we need to do right now to support merchants. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to criticize our current city council here. In my opinion, as a downtown restaurant owner, we didn't act fast enough. Other cities picked up their feet. San Mateo, Burlingame, Redwood City, San Carlos, Belmont, South San Francisco, they all created these very strong, very vibrant outdoor dining plans. They got the city out. Burlingame had to even threaten to shut down their program because there were so many people coming out to eat and spend money. And our downtown merchants are still struggling. It's not enough just to build parklets. We need to close the streets. We need to host more outdoor events that are COVID safe. And building off of what Ann said, if you want to attract sales tax revenue back to the city, let's get that vacant storefront ordinance in. We're going to tell landlords, you can't keep a storefront in our downtown or even Orchard Supply empty for years and years and cheat Millbrae out of its right to generate sales tax off of that property. We need to hold landlords accountable, but we need to support our small businesses first. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Errol, can you take the last shot at this?
Yes, could I just have the question read again? Thank you.
Yes, let me get back to it. Nearly a third of the Millbrae budget is made up from sales and use tax and the TOT. If you're elected, what is your specific plan to cope with possible budgetary shortfalls from these diminished revenue streams? How do you specifically intend to stimulate and rebuild the Millbrae economy in the COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 era?
Two big businesses have closed, or one has closed, one is about to close. And I always believe when doors close, doors open. So there's always a new opportunity for another business to come in. Getting this big department store to come in is in the works. So let's have a positive attitude towards that. There is also a plan to assess the downtown businesses certain amounts, which will go towards making Millbrae downtown more beautiful. My kids used to tell me after class or on weekends, they go to San Ferran, which is in San Bruno, or Burlingame downtown, or San Mateo downtown, because they said Millbrae downtown is boring. There's really nothing much to do there. So maybe we can develop that. If Millbrae downtown becomes beautiful, if the sidewalks are improved, the streets are improved, more people will come to Millbrae. And when big businesses see that people are coming to Millbrae the big department stores will come to Millbrae. Thank you.
Thank you, Errol. Okay, well, let's move on to our next question. And Gina, you'll be first up. Do you acknowledge that there is racism toward Black and brown people in Millbrae? What actions have you taken and will you take to fight systematic racism, both internally and externally?
Say that one more time, sorry.
Do you acknowledge that there is racism toward Black and brown people in Millbrae? What actions have you taken and will you take to fight systematic racism, both internally and externally?
Thank you. I've been working with the anti-racism program in Millbrae since the very beginning. There's racism, systematic racism throughout our country. It's not just Millbrae. We as a community need to come together for everyone. We have had various town hall meetings. We're really learning a lot and trying to understand, but yet there is still a lot of work to do. We want to come together as a community. We can't be divisive. We need to try to understand one another, to work together, to do away with racism. And a lot of that is education. So we've done chalk art programs and we've had some peaceful demonstrations. So I think education throughout, working together is so key to really moving our community forward and trying to stop racism wherever it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Yo-Yo, could you take the question?
Yeah, thank you. I've also been working with the Anti-Racist Coalition, and we're a grassroots group of people who have been trying to educate the public on the everyday struggles of Black people and people of color, but primarily Black people throughout America, showing that we have a racist history, that we have things to answer to as a community, and that it's not enough just to be not racist, but we actually have to speak out when we witness racism, when we witness things that are inequitable in our community. We should use the power we have within our social circles, our family, our companies to make a change. 4 out of 5 candidates from this in this race attended our Black Lives Matter march, and another one of them has been spreading a lot of false rumors about false narratives, spurious narratives about Black on Asian crime. I don't stand for that. I believe we can build a better community by working together and focusing on enhancing the rights of everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Errol, could you take this question?
Just last month, there was a town hall organized by the Anti-Racism Council, which I attended, and I learned a lot. And I think to address this problem, proper education should be instituted so that people are made aware the history of racism, why it's there, and what can be done to address it. You know, I was told before by a psychologist, like elementary school kids of different color, they don't see Black, they don't see brown, they all see kids. So it's a matter of finding out what happened when they transitioned into adulthood, that they started seeing color and developing certain biases. I think that's something we should study and address and tell people that it's wrong to have those biases. And at the same time, each one of us in the council must make a firm commitment and make a stand against racism. Thank you.
Thank you, Errol. Anne, please take the question.
Okay, like Gina and Yo-Yo, I too have been working with our Anti-Racist Coalition to work on programs. I believe that we need to create a safe space for everyone in Millbrae to come and talk about their experiences. From the experiences, we learned what might be a systemic problem, meaning an ordinance or a practice or a regulation that is leading to unfair treatment of people of color. And then we can take action for that. I know that I've had discussions with the city manager more with our minority and women-owned businesses in town to create a place within our Economic Vitality Committee where we can look at more of those programs. I know Gina is going to be interviewing some candidates for the Cultural Arts Committee next week. And if we can get one person who's very involved with the anti-racism movement on, then we can make Black History Month something more than just recognizing the path, but how we can make it change for the future. And on top of that, I created the first Martin Luther King Day last January. This year will be part of the TRAIN program.
Thank you, Anne. And Anders, please, if you could take this out.
Yes, I can. As you know, out of the 5 candidates, I'm the only one that is a first-generation Chinese American immigrant, and so I have seen firsthand, what racism means to the people of color. And yes, it is a problem in this country. So I think education is key. It is, in fact, the most important thing, because in order for us to stamp it out, we got to start at that educational level. Make sure people is aware of that this is not okay. I have seen driving on Bayshore Highway, seeing a T-shirt, someone wearing a T-shirt that has xenophobia on it. That is unacceptable. And in fact, I think most importantly, we need to come together as a community and to just make sure we communicate to each other, and everybody has the same understanding that racism is not okay, xenophobia is not okay, and that has to start at the top of our elected official level, whether it is the federal and state, and even at the city level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to our next question. And Anne, you'll be up first. What role should Millbrae play in efforts to mitigate climate change? What commitments should Millbrae make in its climate action plan up for consideration by the City Council in November 2020?
Okay, I am so happy that we just recently passed our first climate action plan. And that doesn't mean Millbrae hasn't been doing things. We participate with Peninsula Clean Energy, 100% renewables, but it certainly isn't enough. We need a robust program to both absorb carbon from the atmosphere. And there is a nice fix. This is just one example. I'm muted. Oh,
No, but their timer's not running. Matt, could you get the timer going? Sorry. Let's see if this.
Okay, I've had over 40 years working in the environmental field. So using one example, the planting of trees. Trees can help cool our community. It can slow traffic. It adds property values, absorbs carbon, and will help reduce the noise that we get from the freeways and the airport. So I want a Marshall Plan for planting trees throughout the city. It's also an opportunity to bring people together and do it together, which grows neighborhoods. So one project can serve many, many solutions for that. And I have many other, I'm a little distracted having been stopped in the middle here, but this is my lifeblood, working on climate action plans, resiliency plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne.
You know what? I got interrupted on that one. So I'm going to say, I want a climate core. I've already spoken out about holding a climate core. If you want to work with me on climate change, email me, call me today.
Thank you, Anne. Errol, could you take this question next?
Yes, of course. I acknowledge the problems posed by climate change, global warming, and we need more clean air. So in my own simple way, like my wife and I, since the pandemic started, since the lockdown started, we've been planting our own tomatoes, corn, and carrots in our backyard. We just do container gardening. We don't have a big place, so we don't have a real garden. So that's something we'd like to encourage. And perhaps if more people got involved and people with green thumbs were developed and trained, seeing more greenery around town will certainly address, in a small way, at least as far as Millbrae is concerned, the problems posed by this climate change, which is a world problem. So certainly I would like to, I'm glad Anne mentioned something about a task force for this, and I think that's something I'd like to be involved in. Thank you.
Thank you, Errol. Thank you very much. Anders.
Yeah, so I think we have to start thinking about, knowing that Millbrae has a lot of new development coming into town. How do we incorporate climate change action plan into these new developments? The production of clean energy is extremely important. We need to have, continue to encourage, if not having an ordinance, to make sure that solar panel is a requirement for some of the larger commercial and mixed use type development. so that they can generate the energy they need for their common area, so that they can come to a point where they can be nearly net zero in terms of carbon footprint. We need to continue to put in more EV charging stations, so that we can continue to encourage the use of clean energy vehicle. And we need to institute bike lane on part of our new downtown plan, so that, especially new development that is going to be very close to transit and our new downtown area can take advantage of these bike lane, discourage the use of personal vehicles, so that we can have a much better environment and reduce the carbon footprint. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yo-Yo, would you take the question next?
Of course, thank you, Linda. I have a 3-step plan, and this is for everybody. Even if you don't believe climate change is real or it's a hoax, we can still take meaningful action to make our communities greener and more sustainable. First is going to be adopting green building codes. And what this means is helping our future developments in the city shift away from natural gas use, which isn't renewable, moving it to all electric buildings. And what I want to see as well is us fast tracking resident permits for people who want to put solar on their homes. We shouldn't make them wait 2-3 weeks for an inspection. If I'm elected, I want to make that the top priority, make it so that people can get their permits in 1 or 2 days. So make that quicker. Second, we should maximize the use of our land. That's one of the ways we can be the most green. We have to build developments that really deliver the most benefit per square foot. And third, I want to double our EV charging station program and make them free again. Why are we charging people more to charge at our stations than they would pay at home? We want to promote the use of EV vehicles, and we want to use it to bring people to our downtown and use our stations. Thank you.
Gina.
Thank you very much. I'm so proud of Millbrae and all the environmental programs we have. We were the first city to ban polystyrene, the first city to ban plastic bags. We are heading to our climate action plan. We have done so much already, but yet still more. I'm very proud to say that I was part of the group that approved the Sea Level Reliance program here in San Mateo County. I'm working on the transit recovery program, the Blue Ribbon Transportation Recovery thing. If we can get more people out of their cars and on public transportation safely, these are all amazing programs here. Solar is amazing. I put it on my house. I've got driving an electric car. Yes, we need more electric charging stations. We have done so much already, and we will continue to do that because this community really cares about making that happen. We've also transformed our lights to LED. So we've got a long way to go, but there's a lot of positives out there, and I'm looking forward to implementing more. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, in order to finish on time, we're going to have to make this next question our last question. And we will start with Yo-Yo. It's a short one. Why would a business choose Millbrae over a neighboring city? Yo-Yo? Why would a business choose Millbrae over a neighboring city?
One part of me wants to say location, diversity, all the feel-good things. And the other half of me wants to say we have a lot of work to do because we haven't attracted businesses, right? Look at the past decade. We haven't seen that many new companies. We haven't seen the high-tech companies that we want, even though our neighbors to the north and the south are attracting all sorts of high-tech workers. They're building a robust workforce, a diversified economy. We haven't taken the right steps. And that's why I want to bring my experience as a downtown business owner to first revitalize our downtown business district. Other people talk about doing it, but I live through it every day. I know how to bring stakeholders together, our residents, the people who live downtown, the people who have offices there. I know how to bring people together to actually build a stronger downtown so that we can actually fill these empty storefronts, make our place not only more inviting to tourists, our local residents, but also attract investment. We want businesses to build their future home in Millbrae, and I think that's how we're going to succeed.
Thank you very much. Errol, would you go next, please?
I have a very simple, direct response. For practical reasons, the location of Millbrae is enviable. It's where Bart is, where Caltrain is, proximity to the airport. And probably if it's a big business, and they come to Millbrae, they won't have any competition, or not yet, if they come right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anders, could you be next?
So, we are so close to transit. We can bring everybody here without increasing the need of personal vehicle. So, there's one major advantage because it's convenient. It's easy for people to get access to. We also need to reimagine our downtown. We need to make sure that that new downtown plan is in place so that we can bring more commercial component into our downtown. We need these additional commercial business, whether it's a storefront business or an office type businesses. And these office type businesses it's going to give you the customer base, that new economic driving engine for these new businesses, storefront, they are going to give you those businesses. Transparency, continue to improve our permitting process and make it more transparent so people can get their permit. Millbrae need to open for business. This is what we got to do. In order for us to revitalize our economy, in order for us to have a very good post-COVID economic revitalization, we need these transparency. And last but not least, we need good, strong public safety so business can come and invest in Millbrae.
Thank you. Gina, please take the next.
Thank you. Why do companies want to come here? Businesses want to come here? It's the community, a diverse community. Number two, as everyone has mentioned, we are the largest intermodal center west of the Mississippi, connected to the largest regional airport. This location is prime for the best businesses to come here. As I noted earlier, we have an electric car company coming in very soon. They put in their permit to compete with Tesla. We have a wonderful community. We have great schools. We need to reach out and recruit more businesses. I myself have recruited businesses. I brought the bun cake lady in. We can do more by reaching out to other businesses and showing them how great and wonderful Millbrae is to be here. We have a lot of opportunity. And now with the Orchard Supply, we still want to get Target in there, but the Office Depot, there is a wealth of opportunity. And I'm really looking forward to reaching out to businesses to come to Millbrae.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, that's the end of our question period, and we'll move into closing statements.
Linda, I'm sorry. I think you wanted me to answer that
Oh,
one.
I did.
You?
I get ahead of myself. I'm trying to plan ahead. So
I would say I'd be quick, but 1 minute is already really quick.
yes, it is.
I would say, yeah, I grew up here in Millbrae. I've watched Millbrae change from the way it was way back in the 60s to where we are today. And I think we are prime location, but we need to be more flexible and move more quickly when a business comes to us, but also to know what we need in Millbrae. We need to show that there is demand within Millbrae for business X, Y, or Z. We know that we don't have a lot of things for young people to do. We know we don't have a lot of, we can't shop for party supplies. We can't shop for most clothing. We can't shop for what we all dearly loved at the old Orchard Supply. So I would love to see the city pull together a team that crosses departments, identifies our needs, identifies the demand that we have, and then we go shopping for businesses and say, we have a demand for this. We will work with you to help you get sited here in Millbrae. And it's all part of what's called streamlining permitting. It doesn't mean a business gets away with murder, but it means we will work with you to site you quickly.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, as I jumped ahead before, we are into closing statements now, and we'll move forward. Anders, you would be our first up.
I thought I was going to be last.
This is what happens at the end of the day. You would be last. Errol, you're our first up.
Oh, this is my closing, right? Oh, hello again. My name is Errol Jornak. What can I bring to the council? I believe I have very good communication and people skills. I like meeting people. I like building relationships. If elected to the council, I will not be the council. I'm just going to be one of 5 members of the council. My plans, my programs won't work unless the other members understand and agree with me, or at least a majority. And I believe with my skills as an attorney, I'm very good at communicating. I'm reasonable, and I'm very good at persuading and convincing people to see my side of the argument or my basis for acting or reasoning a certain way. And I also listen. I'm aware that there are always two sides to a coin, and I look at both sides and evaluate it before I make a reasoned and informed decision. And like I said, I believe I have good people skills. In fact, even my enemies, I love them. Someone told me you have to love your enemies. You know why? It drives them nuts. But kidding aside, I believe whoever makes it to the council, and I congratulate in advance whoever will make it from the five of us. But if I am lucky enough and I make it, I look forward to working with the members of the council, bringing my own viewpoints. I'm a first-time candidate, and I'm there precisely to address the problems that I feel as a resident of Millbrae. I'd love to say I grew up in Millbrae, but no, that's not true. So let me just say my kids grew up here in Millbrae, and we've lived here for 14 years. I'd like to see this community grow. I consider it our home, and I am willing to give what it takes to make Millbrae a more beautiful community so that more people will want to live in Millbrae, not just businesses coming in. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yo-Yo?
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking with everybody and sharing my views. We are a small town with virtually unlimited potential. I truly believe that. But at the same time, we don't want people to come in and exploit our residents and our city for personal gain and turn this city into their personal piggy bank. We want leaders with integrity, people who we can trust to always put the interests of Millbrae's community first, always. I've made my campaign about the people's wishes. I've made my campaigns about the biggest issues that they face. I've said this whole time, and we all know this, that the campaign isn't about the candidate with the most endorsements or the candidate with the most signs, or as Errol said earlier, the biggest signs. This campaign is and has always been about answering the age-old question, what are you going to do for me? How will your campaign benefit my life? And so, I've really tried my best, and I hope people think so, that I've gone out, talked to people, even during COVID. Vice Mayor Ann Schneider and I, we've held 6 town halls. We're hosting our 7th tonight, just listening to residents, talking to them about our important concerns like water bills, like making our downtown more vibrant and appealing, like solving traffic safety concerns and making our communities more secure, like making our communities more green and preserving what we love about Millbrae for future generations. I truly believe that I have the experience that we need to deliver on my promises and to create a stronger, healthier, more inclusive Millbrae that really, truly works for everybody. I respectfully ask for your vote, and I hope you will join the Vice Mayor and I after this forum for our 7th town hall, where you can ask us any questions that weren't addressed tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Anne, if you could go next for us.
I want to thank again Linda and Margie, from the League, and Sarah, Ann, and Matthew are behind the scenes for Millbrae Community Television, my fellow candidates, and all of you watching now or later. Democracy requires active participation, and all of you are true patriots. We're in the running disaster. COVID-19 has changed our lives. New information, new ways to live, to communicate, to ensure that vital city services are delivered to all of us is our new normal. Sadly, this is going to continue for many months. What we need now are leaders who are not afraid to work at all levels of government to bring these services to us, from free COVID testing so students can return to school, to ensuring that no one here in Millbrae is going hungry, and new programs that are going to help all of us suffering from too much social isolation. I've shown that no matter the political heat, I stand for what I think we and you and our businesses need. I'm not afraid to stand against the majority to fight for you. I'm not afraid of meeting with those who disagree with me. In fact, I learn from meeting with people who disagree with me, and when their suggestions make Millbrae better, I try to include them into city programs. I stand for you. With your vote, I will implement programs to fight change, reduce wildland fire and flooding risks to our neighborhoods, to support our existing businesses, and remove barriers to attracting new businesses. There's no single approach to public safety or fighting slow-moving climate change disaster, or economic development. I've proven that I can juggle multiple projects and devise solutions that solve multiple problems. I stand with you. Please re-elect me to Millbrae City Council, and please join Yo-Yo and me tonight at 6 o'clock. We want to hear from you. We want to learn from you, and we want to make Millbrae better together. Thank you.
Gina, could you take the question or the closing comment, please?
Yes, please. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and Millbrae Television. Great program. I am so sorry we did not get to water and public safety and so many other important issues. Reach out to me. I am happy to share with you my ideas about those two primary concerns within our community at www.ginapappin.com. Really, we have some solutions and working together, bringing the community together. My service has always been about taking action and fighting for the people I represent, making the community healthier, safer, and stronger. That's why I've received the support across corners of our city and the region, from the working men and women of labor, from educators, from business leaders, to public safety leaders, local Democratic Party, the Sierra Club, and many, many more. I hope to earn your support and your vote. I do want to speak to you. I want to hear from you. I want to know where your concerns are. I was out today at a listening booth in downtown Millbrae, and actually the Lieutenant Governor of the state of California was joining me there. It is about really communicating at all levels. I thank the League of Women Voters and Millbrae Television for your time and consideration, for everybody who's watching here. I respectfully ask for your support. We have an amazing future in Millbrae. If we work together, come together, it can happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gina. And now, Anders, if you could close.
Millbrae, make no mistake about this. This is an important election. An election that will determine the future of our city. Because one way or another, we're going to have a new council that will determine the priorities of our cities for years to come. As I have told many of my volunteers, many of my neighbors, and as I tell you now, that this campaign is not, and it never has been, about me. It is about the priority that I stand for. Millbrae needs strong public safety. We all need good economic revitalizations, and we need to redevelop our downtown. We also need responsible, balanced, and affordable development here at Millbrae. Now, it's been months of campaigning with many Zoom meetings and coffee meetup, and last but not least, social media. And as you all well know, politics are not forgiving, particularly on social media. But rather than focusing on misinformation and negative campaign, let's focus on how to make our lives a little easier. Let's figure out how to make our education a little better. Keep our seniors a little healthier. Now, I have talked to many people who resonate with those priorities, and a few that don't. But I don't take offenses on that. In fact, it tells me that I have more work to do and more consensus I need to build. I still remember knocking on the doors of Ms. Thompson, and I still remember, you needed that traffic calming request. And Mr. Choi, I'm still working on your brush fire concern. I am forever thankful that you're all able to share a slice of your life with me, and I will never forget. We have plenty of work to do here at Millbrae, and we need that leadership to lead our city out of this pandemic that hit us so hard. I am that leader, and I cannot do this alone. I am asking for your vote on November 3rd, and together we can make Millbrae a better place for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all the candidates. You'll be able to find additional information about the candidates on the League's Smart Voter site. It's votersedge.org. All candidates have been invited to enter their information and to link to their own websites. Remember to vote November 3rd and encourage everybody you know and anybody you don't know to vote on November 3rd. I think we have some slides that should come up.
Yeah, Matt, can you enable me to share, please?
While that's happening, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization and open to both men and women. Please consider joining us. If you're interested in helping in your community with forums like this, please go to the League of Women Voters website, www.lwv.org. And in conclusion, join me. Whoops, is that you? Did I jump ahead, Margie?
No, well, I'll just talk through what the slides say since I'm not able to share them yet. Let me just try it one last time, see if I got enabled. Nope, but I'll just talk through them. It's just remember to vote. It's very important. San Mateo County has been vote by mail for a long time, so you should all be used to it. We don't have to go through a whole new situation like some states and counties have to do. There are 3 ways to get your ballots back. You can just stick it back in the envelope and put it in a mailbox. You can use a county drop box, and you can visit a vote center. In Millbrae, the vote center will be at the Millbrae Community Center at 623 Magnolia Avenue, and it will be open from Halloween, the 31st of October through Election Day. I think it's like 9 to 5 all the days except Election Day, and then it's open for the regular election hours. You can vote in person there. If you somehow make a mistake on your mail-in ballot, you can take it back to the vote center and get a new one. It's a great resource if you want to go do your voting in person. The secure Dropbox location will be at City Hall nearby that community center. I copied and pasted the address, and I think I didn't change it, but you all know where City Hall is, I hope. But again, and whatever you do, don't forget to sign your ballot. That is the #1 reason ballots are rejected. So just be sure you sign the outside of your ballot. If you haven't registered to vote, please do so by October 19th at registertovote.ca.org. You can sign up to track your ballot. I just did this yesterday. It's where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov. You can Google all this stuff. You should be getting your ballots this upcoming week. They go in the mail by October 5th.
I got mine today.
All right, right on. So, fill it out once you've made all your decisions, get it back, and then you're done. A couple of other pieces of information. You'll get I got my sample ballot. No, I didn't get my sample ballot. I got my official voter information guide today. That's mailed to registered voter. Your sample ballot's mailed to registered voters. There's the easy voting guide, and there's the league site Voters Edge, to which all the candidates have been invited to submit their information and link to their own websites. And finally, if you've enjoyed this forum and want to help the league with fun events like this and getting people registered to vote and engage people in community in this, experiment that we call democracy through engaged and informed citizenry, join the League of Women Voters. Our website is lwvncsmc.org. That's League of Women Voters of North and Central San Mateo County. So all the first letters of that, .org/join. And Linda, back to you.
Anne, you had a question?
I'm wondering if I can give a shout out to the League. I'm going to try it. You can always cut me there. The League of Women Voters, the City of Millbrae had been working with the League of Women Voters to celebrate the 100th anniversary of women's right to vote. Because of COVID, we had to cancel all of those. But tomorrow, I believe, the City of Millbrae with the League of Women Voters are announcing a get out the vote poster contest for our children here in Millbrae. So look for an email coming, well, if not tomorrow, then on Monday. Look for that. And we look forward for the children of Millbrae participating with your views on why voting is important.
Okay, now Linda, take us away.
All right, so thank you, everybody. I thank all of you for participating. To the audience, this is what democracy looks like. Please give a big shout out and a round of applause to all the candidates and for their courage and service in running for the Millbrae City Council.
And fill out your census if you haven't.
That too.
Thank you.
Really important, really important.
And vote early because November 3rd is maybe several weeks away, but it's important that we give our postal worker a little bit more time to work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.